Alright, this is the portage from Big Whiteshell, the other portage from Big Whiteshell to Crowduck. We're just going to walk across it. You can see what it looks like. Some giant geese up here. This is actually one of the better portages because it's not often used. It's dry, more or less upland. Some fleabane there. Surprisingly, there was only one downed tree when I came across here earlier. Just goes over a ridge, one little creek to cross. This is the wettest it gets here on this portage. I'm going to come out to an open area here. This is one of the places that people wind up getting lost because they're not sure where to go across this open area. There's just a slight trail in the grass. Just follow that if you can. Hidden on this side, the trail goes around some junipers, so just watch where that trail goes. There we go. Except for the open areas, the path is fairly easy to follow. Another little wet area here. Please, when you're walking these portages, stay on the path even though some of it may be wet. So we don't want to damage the ecology more than we have to. Little fur stand here opens up. All the Cornus canadensis is all blooming. There you go, here's another one of these open areas. Again, keep track of where you're going across these open areas. This path is not actually marked with any flagging tape, so it's easy to get off track. Especially right here. This is where we cross the Ontario Trail. And there are people that have decided to follow the Ontario Trail rather than following the portage path. So there's the Ontario Trail sign there. If you see those signs, don't follow those signs. Just keep going as straight as possible across. There we go. A little coyote scat there. It's nice, this portage actually doesn't have any poison ivy on it yet. A little bit more coyote scat. But I suspect it will be showing up. Early in the portage there was a lot of, there's a little bit of thistle and a little bit of plantain, which really means that the seeds have been falling off of people as we go through. So just kind of be aware of that as well. On the portage, there is lots of mountain maple, lots of Crataegus, hazelnut as well. I'm not going to point any of those out to you as we go through, because this is just an image of what the portage looks like rather than kind of a botany trip. A little fir grove again. Find these, and then in amongst them is some birch and some spruce as well, but primarily fir right here. Hopefully we'll have some time to look at some of the mosses and lichens as we go on the trip as well. This is a relatively new portage, so if you're walking, watch for roots and other things. You probably noticed me trip a little bit back there, not keeping track of what my feet are doing. I think this is the last open area that we go across. Again, people are sometimes fooled into going across the rock outcrop and following that, thinking that it's a path. One of the things to look for is if you look down here, notice the path, even if this portage has only been used for a few years, but you'll notice the lichens have all been worn away. So again, even on the rock outcrop, we are doing damage as we are creating these portages, so don't go wandering all over the place. The yarrow is out and nicely blooming. And lots of bracken fern. Oh, I see a little bit of honeysuckle, low bush honeysuckle blooming there. A little bit more fir enclosing here. And here, the first time I came across this today, there was a tree that had just fallen down, so I had to move some branches out of the way. There's that tree right there that's fallen down. And another one that's fallen down. We just have to step over this. It's pretty high, so if you've got short legs, it may be hard to get over. And there we go. There's the other one there. Hopefully there hasn't been too many trees that have come down in the rain that we had last week. I'm actually quite surprised at how dry this portage is. Even the little creek here has very little water running through it, which surprised me a little bit. This little bridge, every time I come through here, somebody's built it up even more. There, look at that. Careful, there is gaps in the boards. You can hear the trickle of that little stream coming out of the wetland there. It is a very pretty little wetland with lots of kind of interesting things. Some blue-bead lilies are just getting ready to bloom. A little bit of twisted stalk. Look at that. Aquilegia is out. Guess it's finished blooming. It's just gone to seed. Some Lathyrus japonicus. It's a pea vine. More bracken fern here. I quite like bracken fern. Makes a very nice understory in open areas. Oh, gross. Look at that. Didn't mean to stare at it, just didn't notice it there. It startled me, actually. Oops. Again, I'm not watching where I'm stepping here. The official portage has got quite a wet area into Crowduck, and it was actually getting fairly dangerous to walk across because people had thrown logs and various other things. I call them ankle breakers. This portage actually winds up being a fair bit longer, and I'm hoping that it stays just used by pedestrian traffic as opposed to boaters. The motorboatists tend to leave a lot of junk at the other end of the portage on Crowduck Lake, like boats and just junk. Well, see the lake coming up through the trees here, so we're just getting to the end here. Just the last little bit here is probably the most overgrown, thickly grown in, so there's a lot of young birch, a lot of maple, some alnus in here, dogwood, and dogwood related things, viburnum kind of species down here, and they tend to grow in really fast, so they're shrubby little species. There we go, you can get a good look at, you kind of may wonder where the trail goes in here. Right through the middle of it all. And I'll try not to, there's some maple, there's some young aspen coming up. Oh, sorry about that, I'm running into the trees here. There we go, and there's my canoe. Yeah. Stop the film here, just so I can load the canoe in the water and get going to the next portage.